The Indo-European language family, the most well-researched and the first family to be proven. Surely everything is already discovered about it and there are no controversies or unknowns, right? Well, I'm here to challenge your views and my own, to be honest, that everything is set in stone regarding the Indo-European language family. Going through the latest research in the field, I personally changed many of my own beliefs on the matter. So even if you think that you know everything there is to know about the Indo-Europeans, I'd ask you to stay with me for a while, just for a while. You too may discover something new. The Indo-European language family is the largest by native speaker number and by the area it occupies. Around 3.2 billion people are native speakers of an Indo-European language. Speakers of these languages are present on every continent. The family consists of 10 branches. Albanian, a lonely and mysterious branch in the Balkans, consisting only of Albanian. There are actually a number of extinct languages in Europe, especially in the Balkans, like Dacian, Thracian and Illyrian, that we don't know much about, but that could also be part of the Indo-European language family. Maybe Albanian is the last remnant of that once existing Balkan language family, but there's no proof to that so far. Anatolian, a branch of ancient and now extinct languages once spoken in Anatolia. These were the first written Indo-European languages with inscriptions in Hittite dating back to 1650 BC. The Hittite Empire used to be a great power in the Bronze Age, rivaling even Egypt, but it did not survive the Bronze Age collapse. Armenian, another isolated branch consisting of just one language spoken in the South Caucasus region and all over the world, thanks to the large Armenian diaspora in many countries. Balto-Slavic, further split into Baltic and Slavic. Baltic consists of only two languages, Latvian and Lithuanian, spoken in Northeast Europe. Lithuanian is said to be the most archaic of the Indo-European languages, conserving many features present in the proto-language. The Slavic branch is much larger, spoken in Eastern, Central and Southern Europe and throughout Russia. Slavs are the largest ethno-linguistic group in Europe. Celtic languages used to dominate Europe. In pre-Roman times, their territory expanded from Spain to the British Isles and all the way to Turkey. Now they're just a shadow of their former selves, forming the smallest branch by speaker number, with most languages in continuous decline, except Welsh, which is actually growing. Germanic. No need to introduce this branch since I'm speaking a Germanic language right now. It's not my native language, but I'm using it because currently it's the language of international communication. So Germanic languages have done quite well for themselves. Hellenic. Another very old group with the first inscriptions in Mycenaean Greek dating from the late 2nd millennium BC. Currently it consists almost exclusively of modern Greek. Indo-Iranian, the largest branch by language number and by native speaker count. Spoken in Central and South Asia, the Middle East and the Caucasus. It also includes ancient languages like Avestan and Sanskrit. Sanskrit in particular provided crucial insights for the first researchers about the existence of the Indo-European family. Italic, the second largest branch, including the Romance languages and Latin, spoken in Western and Southern Europe and virtually all of Latin America. And finally, Tocharian, another extinct branch, which was spoken in modern-day Western China. It's known from some surviving manuscripts from the 6th to 8th century CE. Its decline came with the expansion of Turkic tribes in the area, and the language probably became extinct by the 9th century. The Indo-European family is extremely diverse, and its different branches have had quite distinct destinies. Some went extinct, some fight for survival, while others thrive and dominate. Some of the world's most important international languages, like English, Spanish or French, are Indo-European. Because of this, it's safe to say that almost everyone on our planet has interacted with an Indo-European language in some way, even beyond our planet, considering all the radio signals we transmit. If aliens are listening to us, they are likely already learning an Indo-European language. Speaking of learning languages, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Lingoda. Last year I tried to learn a language in 3 months and I made a video about it. Now I'm taking on an even bigger challenge, learning German in just 2 months with Lingoda. Lingoda provides tailored on-demand online classes. I'm doing their sprint program, 1 lesson every 2 days for 2 months. This structured approach helps me stay consistent, which is crucial for rapid language acquisition. What really stands out about Lingoda is their native-speaking teachers who create an interactive environment. These small group classes give you plenty of opportunities to practice speaking, essential for language fluency. Booking a class is incredibly easy. You can filter by day, time, and choose between private or group lessons. Lingoda offers different learning plans, sprint, flex, and teams, and teaches English, business English, French, German, Spanish, and Italian.
Sehr schön. Und Julia, hast du Haustiere?
Ja, ich habe eine Katze.
Okay. Viele Katzen.
This is actually my first German lesson with Lingoda. I'm excited to share my progress over the next 2 months. Why not join me on this journey? Let's learn a new language together and see how much progress we can make in just 2 months. I haven't done this approach before and I'm really curious where it will get me, and I will be filming another video in 2 months with my results. Ready to start? Click the link in the description to save 20 euros when you sign up for Lingoda. Don't miss this chance to transform your language skills with Lingoda. The birth of Indo-European studies is considered to be 1786, when Sir William Jones noted striking similarities between ancient Greek, Latin, and Sanskrit. However, throughout centuries before him, people had already been noticing these similarities between various Indo-European languages. And I'm not surprised. Even today, the similarities between modern Indo-European languages are striking. Virtually all of the basic vocabulary is the same, including family members, body parts, numbers, animals, and plants. Similarities can be seen not only in language, but also in culture. The story of the warrior storm god who fights the sea serpent and also happens to be the highest deity is familiar for virtually all Indo-Europeans, be it Greeks with Zeus, Hittites with Tarhuna, Slavs with Perun, Germans with Thor, or Indians with Indra. The relatedness of these languages is thus not disputed. They are far too similar to be distinct. What causes much debate and remains unresolved is the question of Indo-European origins. Where did they come from and how did they expand over such a vast territory? Several theories imagine this expansion in different ways. The steppe hypothesis, currently the most widely accepted, proposes that Indo-European languages spread from the Pontic-Caspian steppe region during the early Bronze Age, around 4,000–3,000 BC. This expansion was thought to be driven by the Yamna culture, who were believed to be the first to domesticate horses and developed wheeled transport. The Anatolian hypothesis suggests Indo-European languages spread with the expansion of farming from Anatolia, modern Turkey, beginning around 6,000 BC. This much earlier expansion is connected to the Neolithic Revolution and the spread of Neolithic farmers from the Fertile Crescent. And finally, the Armenian theory places the Indo-European origin in the southern Caucasus and northern Mesopotamia. This theory has been around since the 80s and hasn't received much support until very recently, but more on this later. Different types of data support different theories. It's challenging to look into such a distant past, especially because Proto-Indo-European wasn't a written language. If they could just tell us themselves where they came from, it would have been much easier. In the absence of that, we have to make educated guesses based on indirect sources. For most of the time, archaeology was the only source that could help us unveil the past. The steppe theory was developed based on findings of kurgans, or burial mounds. These kurgans were found to radiate from the Pontic steppe to the east and west, and the area of the spread of this culture coincided with the area where Indo-European languages have been spoken. This culture, called Yamna, thus became associated with the Indo-Europeans. The theory then became more refined. The main main question was, how did this culture become so powerful that it was able to spread over such a vast space? The answer came quickly: horse domestication. The horse is a powerful animal. It can carry goods and people to far reaches with unmatched speed. Up until the 19th century, the horse was the fastest mode of land transport. If those people really did domesticate horses, then they surely gained an advantage over neighboring populations, allowing them to spread their culture and language. It's a compelling explanation, but the proof hasn't been 100% convincing. Okay, I've changed my camera position because our co-host has finally decided to attend this show. I'm so happy. Alright, Indo-European languages, let's continue. The first archaeological findings of a surely domesticated horse buried together with a chariot is attributed to the Sintashta culture, a 1,000-year younger descendant of the Yamna culture in the southern Urals. This culture is commonly associated with Indo-Iranians. The earlier Yamna people did use chariots, but whether they used horses to pull them remains uncertain. Recent genetic evidence suggests the first domesticated horses from which all our horses descend. No! I guess I'll need to put the camera back. Let's continue with our horses. Recent genetic evidence suggests that the first domesticated horses from which all of our horses descended appeared in the Volga-Don region around 2000 BC. Again, 1,000 years later than when the Yamna culture started to spread. At the same time, it seems that the usage of light and sturdy chariots, which the Yamna people did invent, allowed them to move much longer distances, even if these chariots were pulled by oxen. Moreover, even though they might not have initially domesticated the horse, they did interact with it, or to be precise, they interacted with its milk. This might just be another advantage that these people had. You see, adult humans haven't always been capable of digesting milk. In fact, many adult humans still can't do it. It may be that the Yamna people were the first mutants who became capable of digesting milk in adulthood, which is a great source of protein and which surely allowed them to thrive. We find remnants of horse milk in Yamna pottery. Now, does this prove that they domesticated horses, or could they have caught and somehow milked a wild horse? We don't know. Maybe they could, so that doesn't prove anything conclusively, but it does prove that they consumed milk. In addition, linguistic studies of Indo-European languages show a rich common vocabulary for milk-derived products and for the act of milking, so these notions must be ancient. If Yamna people are in fact Proto-Indo-Europeans, then these two facts match each other and a picture becomes clear. Step 1, chariot invention. Step 2, lactose persistence mutation. Step 3, world domination. Now, let's look more closely at what genetic data tells us. Genetics is a field that has really started developing quite recently, so every year we get new insights as more genetic studies are conducted. There have been several papers that did confirm these steppe theories since the Yamna DNA was found in the ancient Indo-Europeans. In 2022, a major study involving more than 200 authors analyzed DNA from Bronze Age individuals from regions where Indo-European languages are spoken and pretty much came to the same conclusion. The Indo-Europeans had steppe DNA in them. The only exception are the Anatolians, whose DNA remained unchanged since 6,500 years ago, much earlier than the Yamna expansion, and did not contain any steppe elements. There could be two explanations for this. First, the Yamna people could have conquered this land and became the elite, thus spreading their language while being outnumbered by the local population and so not making a difference genetically. Or the second possibility, the Proto-Indo-European language originated somewhere in North Mesopotamia or South Caucasus. Remember that Armenian theory I mentioned? Then, with the Neolithic Revolution, some spread into Anatolia and some traveled over the Caucasus Mountains into the steppe. The rest continues according to the steppe hypothesis, just without the Anatolian branch. That's why some researchers now even call the family Indo-Anatolian. There are some linguistic proofs for this second explanation. The reason why the Armenian theory was born in the first place is that several language families, Indo-European, North Caucasian, Kartvelian, and Semitic, share some vocabulary pertaining to agriculture and cattle, attributes of the Neolithic Revolution. If the early speakers of those languages lived around the same territory and all participated in Neolithic Revolution, that could explain this common vocabulary. These findings modify the picture a little bit already, but there is one difficulty. Archaeology doesn't equal genetics, and both of them don't equal language. It's entirely possible for a group of people to adopt another people's language for whatever reason without being physically replaced by them. The opposite can happen too. Genetics can change, but the language may stay the same. The same goes for culture. These things are indications and they tell us a lot, especially when genetics and cultures coincide, but there's still a piece of puzzle missing. Unfortunately, we can't know for sure what language people who have been dead for thousands of years spoke. If somebody ever created a time machine, the first thing I'd do is go back 50,000 years and hear what language the first humans spoke. I've already thought about it a lot. Anyway, for now, our only time machine is writing, but Proto-Indo-Europeans didn't have that. Still, we can try to derive information from whatever it is that we have. Linguists can calculate how long ago languages separated based on how many differences they accumulated. The fact that the Indo-European language family contains many languages with a long written tradition, which shows us an older state of the language, helps a lot. For some time, linguists would arrive at the conclusion that Indo-European languages started diverging around 6,000 years ago, which agreed with the steppe hypothesis. However, recently, with more advanced computational methods appearing, the date has been fluctuating. Different researchers are getting different results and different migration patterns, depending on the algorithm, model calibration, and the data they were using. Though quite a few of them were getting results that aligned more with the Anatolian hypothesis than the steppe hypothesis. A large 2023 research made another computational analysis and came to the conclusion that Proto-Indo-European was 8,000 years old and it split into major branches already 7,000 years ago. In light of that, the authors proposed a hybrid theory of Indo-European migrations, which I kind of already unveiled previously, that the Indo-Europeans originated in North Mesopotamia, then spread with the Neolithic Revolution, and then those of them who settled in the steppe expanded later as the Yamna culture. That is indeed a happy marriage between the steppe, the Anatolian, and the Armenian hypotheses. The only different thing is that because the language split was dated so early, and because the Indo-Iranian branch turned out to be quite far from the others, the route by which Indo-Iranians migrated is not defined. If they went the northern route as previously thought, then why are they so distinct from the other languages? Did they then go by the southern route through the Middle East and Iran? All of this, of course, raises many questions, and the authors don't claim to have all the final answers. Other papers, though, did not find that Indo-Iranian branch was that distinct from the others, and the consensus is still that it is the closest to Balto-Slavic languages. In addition, we find Indo-Iranian loanwords in Finno-Ugric languages, which were spoken in Siberia. For these two language groups to interact, Indo-Iranians must have passed by the north route. So nothing is set in stone, and next year there might be another research that completely changes our perception of things, though it seems that the image does become more and more defined. For example, nowadays many researchers accept that the Anatolian branch split much earlier than the Yamna expansion and look at the Armenian/hybrid theory more favorably. Tocharian should have split the next and ran all the way to China. The rest probably split into 4 nuclei: Balto-Slavic Indo-Iranian, Celtic Germanic Italic, Armenian Hellenic, and finally the lonely Albanian, always the special one. But we're still so far from the final answers. It's funny because if we know so little about the most well-researched language family, and there is still so much debate about everything that concerns its history, then it's safe to say that we know nothing at all about all the other language families. That's depressing, but well, one step at a time. And I have an ambition to make a little step as well. I want to create the ultimate language tree. It would show not only how different languages are related to each other, but also when they started diverging and how large these languages are by native speaker number, based on the most recent data. The goal is to make a tree of all languages, but that might be too much to do all at once, so I will start with the Indo-European language tree. Preparing this video has laid a good base for understanding of what we think could have happened with it. I want it to be informative and aesthetically pleasing, as I said, the ultimate language tree. I don't know how long it will take me to produce, but stay tuned. Of course, I'll continue with the individual language videos, that's not going anywhere. If you want to vote on the next language, you can do it on my Patreon page. Thank you so much for watching and see you in our next exploration.